A deadly plan was drawn up by the Chinese military to destroy the U.S. aircraft carrier. At exactly 7:42 a.m. local time, July 12, 2025, the calm waters of the Philippine Sea became the stage for one of the most audacious ambushes in modern history. The USS Gerald R. Ford Carrier Strike Group, conducting routine operations near Guam, suddenly found itself inside a battlefield it never saw coming. It began with 3 Chinese Y-20 transport aircraft, civilian in appearance, unarmed by every surveillance system scanning the sky. Their transponders broadcasted standard commercial codes. To American satellites and radar operators, they looked like nothing more than cargo planes moving along a predictable lane. But 31 minutes before they reached the perimeter, something else had already begun. From open bays in their bellies, the Y-20s had silently scattered nearly 100 unmanned aerial vehicles across the high sky. These drones, manta ray-shaped and coated in radar-absorbent materials, were phantoms invisible to conventional detection. They spread like ghosts, mapping every movement of the strike group far below. The morning was crystal clear, no clouds, no warnings, just the hum of engines and routine checks. Yet within the next 210 seconds, what had started as a calm patrol would transform into the most advanced multi-domain ambush ever recorded in naval warfare. Phase 1, penetration. The Y-20s drifted innocently across international airspace, but their cargo of stealth drones shifted the balance. Each machine carried encrypted nodes, linking into a swarm intelligence designed to confuse, blind, and overwhelm. Phase 2, electronic warfare. From the west, 4 H-6K bombers skimmed the ocean at nap-of-the-earth altitudes, deploying modified buoys that bloomed with electronic warfare pods. These devices ignited a wall of jamming across the electromagnetic spectrum. Within a 60-mile radius, radar screens blurred, satellite uplinks stuttered, and the invisible eye of American surveillance went blind. Phase 3, the kill strike. Concealed inside the interference cloud, 16 J-16 multi-role fighters dove from medium altitude. Each aircraft released YJ-91 anti-radiation missiles, predators designed to home in on the electromagnetic pulse of American radars. Their trajectories were merciless, straight toward the strike group's outer air defense ring. The assault unfolded as a vertical pincer. From above, stealth drones swooped downward like silent blades. At sea level, missiles screamed just meters over the waves, riding the surface tension like sharks closing in. Every vector, every wave, every strike was synchronized to the second. This was not a chaotic attack. It was calculated saturation, a storm of decoys, stealth, and cyber disruption converging into one orchestrated package. The Chinese intent was simple but devastating: overwhelm the American defense grid, force it to split its gaze in every direction, and blind it long enough for the kill shot to land. For 220 seconds, the sky became a theater of speed, shadows, and noise, a test of whether the world's most advanced fleet could withstand the world's most complex ambush. Watch the lightning-fast reaction of the most powerful defense system on the planet, and support us by liking, subscribing, and leaving your thoughts in the comments. In the chaos unleashed by China's precision strike, the U.S. fleet had just seconds to react. But aboard the USS Princeton, seconds were enough. The Aegis combat system erupted into life, screens glowing red as if the ship itself had shifted to DEFCON 1. Every operator locked in, every console pulsing with targets. Chinese jammers flooded the spectrum, but the Americans had planned for the storm. High above, an E-2D Hawkeye early warning aircraft cut through the static. Switching to low-frequency radar, its massive dish sliced the electronic fog like a knife through smoke. Within seconds, ghostly contacts resolved into solid blips. The data streamed into the Cooperative Engagement Capability Network, binding the strike group into a single organism. Every destroyer, every cruiser, every aircraft received the same picture of the sky. The first layer of defense roared to life. From USS Chancellorsville, 8 SM-6 interceptors ignited vertically, climbing, then tipping over into sharp dives toward the incoming anti-radiation missiles. White contrails clawed across the blue sky. The second layer spun up. Close-in weapon systems tracked the low-flying drones with mechanical fury, barrels humming as radar locks tightened. Gatling guns thundered, spitting tungsten at Mach speed. The sea horizon shimmered with lines of fire. The third layer streaked in from above. F/A-18 Super Hornets, already on patrol, banked hard and dove headfirst into the drone cloud. Guided by data link cues, they unleashed AIM-120 AMRAAMs with surgical precision. Explosions tore through the swarm, stealthy shadows shredded into flaming fragments before they ever touched the fleet's perimeter. On the deck of USS Gerald R. Ford, the transition was immediate. Combat Direction Center shifted to full strike readiness. Blast doors sealed, damage control crews took position, and weapons teams armed for the inevitable counterblow. One missile slipped through. It struck the radar mast of the USS Chancellorsville, shearing metal and leaving the cruiser temporarily scarred. But that was the only hit. Every other missile, every drone, every weapon meant to blind the fleet had been destroyed. It wasn't luck, it was design. Years of investment in networked warfare, layered defense, and rapid response munitions had paid off in a single, blistering engagement. Beijing had hoped to stun. Instead, they found themselves staring at a fleet that not only survived, but was already preparing to strike back. At 8:11 a.m., just 29 minutes after the first Chinese drone crossed the horizon, the strike group's battle order shifted from defense to retribution. Inside the Combat Direction Center of USS Gerald R. Ford, a red light pulsed above the digital map. Strike authorization was confirmed. Washington had given the green light. What followed was not a counterattack. It was a multi-domain retaliation designed to stun, overwhelm, and cripple. For the first time in Pacific waters, the United States unleashed every tier of its arsenal in one synchronized blow. Wave 1, Stealth Ascendancy. From the carrier's electromagnetic catapults, 24F, 35C, Lightning IIs launched in under 6 minutes. They rose in perfect intervals, afterburners glowing like meteors before dropping to sea level. Flying in delta formation, they split into 3 task wings: air superiority, deep strike penetration, and electronic escort. Invisible to radar, they became the cutting edge of vengeance. Wave 2, Precision Strike. Close behind, F/A-18 Super Hornets roared skyward in pairs, each armed with AGM-158 JASSM-ER cruise missiles. With a reach beyond 500 miles and the ability to pierce reinforced bunkers, these missiles carried the promise of devastation deep inside hardened Chinese facilities. Wave 3, Hypersonic Kinetics. From 80 nautical miles east, USS Zumwalt bared its experimental teeth. Its advanced electromagnetic railguns spat tungsten projectiles at Mach 7, pure kinetic energy screaming through the stratosphere. They needed no explosives. The impact alone could shred concrete command bunkers and coastal radar domes on Hainan Island into dust. Wave 4, Eyes in the Sky. At 45,000 feet, 6 MQ-9 Reaper drones loitered silently. Feeding data from onboard sensors to satellites and F-35 cockpits, they stitched together a live mosaic of Chinese radar sites, missile batteries, and uplink stations. Every move, every transmission, every shadow was marked for destruction. Wave 5, the Tomahawk Storm. From the vertical launch cells of 3 Arleigh Burke-class destroyers, 28 Tomahawk Block 5 cruise missiles punched into the sky almost simultaneously. Each missile twisted mid-air before flattening into sea-hugging trajectories. Their DSLMAC guidance comparing every ridge, every coastline contour, until target lock was absolute. Their destinations: Longtian Air Base in Fujian, the nest of the J-16 attackers; a radar complex near Lingshui on Hainan Island; fuel depots; satellite uplink stations; the nervous system of China's Southern Command; electronic and subsurface supremacy. EA-18G Growlers jammed Chinese communications, pouring static into command channels. Meanwhile, P-8A Poseidon Patrol aircraft swept sonar nets across the deep, locking onto submarines stirring from nearby bases. The retaliation was not a flurry, it was a symphony. Stealth aircraft, precision missiles, hypersonic slugs, drones, jammers, and satellites all converged in rhythm, denying Beijing even a breath to respond. The United States hadn't just survived the attack. It had answered with a message written in precision fire. The strike didn't explode. It unfolded like a steel hand closing over a map. At 8:49 a.m., the first Tomahawk Block 5 breached Chinese airspace over Fujian province. Flying just 50 feet above the terrain, it hugged every ridge and coastline, slipping under radar beams as if the Earth itself guided its path. Its DSMAC guidance locked onto its target not by coordinates, but by memory of the land. The missile struck Hangar C at Longtian Air Base. The warhead sliced through the roof, igniting in surgical violence. Inside, 6 J-20 stealth fighters, engines cold, cockpits sealed, were annihilated in fire and twisted steel. The base's pride had become wreckage in seconds. 27 seconds later, a tungsten rod from USS Zumwalt's railgun arrived. It did not explode, it pierced. Traveling at over Mach 7, the slug drilled through layers of reinforced concrete, collapsing the underground command bunker beneath Longtian like a lung crushed from within. On Hainan Island, a satellite uplink station blinked out. No fireball, no explosion, just silence. From orbit, U.S. satellites marked it gone, a dead node in China's nervous system. By 9:07 a.m., the tally was catastrophic. 37 aircraft, J-20S, J-16S, JH-7S, destroyed or grounded beyond recovery. 8 military fuel tanks burning, black plumes visible from space. 2 hardened command centers reduced to smoking shells. An estimated 400 personnel killed, wounded, or cut off, stumbling blind inside shattered bases. One final message leaked from the rubble. A Chinese colonel, trapped beneath a collapsed radar tower, managed to send a single encrypted transmission before the signal died. They see everything. We are blind. Across civilian networks, videos emerged, columns of smoke twisting skyward, filmed by trembling hands in nearby villages. Before sensors could react, the images spread across domestic feeds, proof of devastation, and at sea, the People's Liberation Army Navy remained motionless. Warships floated on the South China Sea, sensors active, weapons primed, but gunners stared at empty screens. Their radars saw only ghosts. Targets were gone, command was gone, fuel was gone. Because in less than 1 hour, the American retaliation had erased the command structure, crippled the sensors, and burned the fuel that China would need to fight back. By 9:30 a.m., the silence from Chinese command posts had become deafening, not only to Beijing, but to the entire world. A network that once commanded thousands of assets had gone dark in under an hour, and that absence of signal reverberated far beyond the Pacific. At the Pentagon, the National Military Command Center lit with urgency. Satellite feeds showed craters at Longtian, radar domes shattered on Hainan, fuel depots still burning. America had struck with surgical violence, but the question was no longer about firepower. It was about perception. The chairman of the Joint Chiefs leaned forward, his words deliberate and cold. We need to control the narrative. The battlefield had expanded from missiles and jets into information and legitimacy. In Beijing, contradiction reigned. State media denied any clash, broadcasting staged footage of naval exercises. Yet leaked communications revealed frantic orders, confused commands, and silence from crippled bases. At 10 a.m. Beijing time, the Foreign Ministry summoned the U.S. ambassador, accusing Washington of destabilizing aggression. The defiance was public, but the military silence behind it betrayed vulnerability. America's allies did not wait. Japan raised its self-defense forces to full alert, missile batteries in Okinawa armed and ready. Australia dispatched 2 destroyers toward the Philippine Sea. South Korea scrambled F-35 squadrons and rolled Patriot interceptors into position along its coast. Taiwan remained wordless, but radars spun, runways cleared, and pilots sat strapped in cockpits, awaiting only a signal. In Brussels, NATO convened an emergency session. The Secretary General declared without hesitation, "This is the most serious military exchange between nuclear powers in the 21st century." Europe raised alert levels to a DEFCON 3 equivalent. Cyber defense units in London, Paris, and Berlin began sweeping networks, preparing for the war to spill into the digital domain. And in the north, Russia shifted. 3 ballistic missile submarines slipped quietly from Vladivostok into open water. Moscow said nothing. It did not need to. The movement itself was a warning. We are watching, markets convulsed. Oil surged beyond $120 a barrel. Tech stocks tumbled, gold soared. Airlines redrew routes across the Pacific. The economic pulse of the globe quaked under the weight of escalation. And in homes across America, veterans and families sat motionless before their screens, asking the question no one wanted answered. Is the world one mistake away from war? The smoke may have cleared, the missiles may have stopped flying, but what this clash revealed will echo far beyond the Pacific. In less than 1 hour, the world watched modern warfare redefine itself. Not in campaigns of months or years, but in minutes, in streams of data, in machine-to-machine decisions that left humans struggling to keep pace. The Chinese strike was swift, sophisticated, and silent. It blended deception, drones, and electronic warfare into a single, lethal package. But the American defense, layered, networked, and ruthless, did more than survive. It overwhelmed. The storm had been designed to blind and break the fleet. Instead, the fleet stood, adapted, and struck back with precision fire that crippled China's southern command in under 60 minutes. Yet victory in battle is not victory in peace. Trust has been shattered. Diplomacy has stalled. The balance of power has shifted, not on maps or borders, but in perception. The Pacific Ocean, once a buffer, now feels like a fuse, waiting for the next spark. The lesson is sobering. Deterrence only works when the other side believes you will use it. Survival now depends not just on firepower, but on speed, clarity, and unity. This was not the Third World War, but it was a reversal, a glimpse of how the next one could ignite. If you found this video important, hit subscribe and share it.